Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's now 6:06. We're a little sorry for being a minute behind, but we're ready to get started. Again, good afternoon, and thank you for participating today to go over our draft traffic study for the Ocean Drive for Ocean Drive. I'm going to go ahead and promote just one person from our project team. As you're getting promoted, I am going to just recognize our elected officials that took the time to join us today. Thank you so much for participating. I do see we have Mayor Stephen Miner on the call, as well as his Deputy Chief of Staff, Blake Govan. Tonight's presentation, we are going to hear from our Transportation and Mobility Department. We have our director, Jose Gonzalez, on the line, as well as the assistant director, O'Neill Rodriguez, who you'll be hearing from in just a moment. And let me just go ahead and take a quick look. As we do for every public meeting towards the end, we're going to have an opportunity to ask any questions to the project team and to better understand the process. For today's meeting, we are going to have a quick presentation. Then at the end of the meeting, we'll go ahead and take Q&A. So if you could, I'm going to turn it over to O'Neill so he could introduce our team from CGA, and then that way we could go over the presentation. O'Neill?
Thank you, Kevin. My name is O'Neill Rodriguez. I'm the Assistant Director with the Transportation and Mobility Department, and I'm joined today by the team from CGA, Jenna Martinetti, and also Pablo Khan, who Jenna is the project manager and Pablo serves as the engineer of record. I wanted to first begin by saying that this public meeting is for the city to obtain a permit from Miami-Dade County for the existing one-way southbound configuration on Ocean Drive. It is not related to the Ocean Drive Promenade, as that has already been removed, and we don't want it to get a little confused with the city's long-term vision on Ocean Drive, which the city also has a project. There you go. So the project is a lane repurposing project. It is to reconfigure Ocean Drive from a two-way traffic to a one-way traffic, southbound only, with a bi-directional protected bicycle lane, and to minimize the impacts to the businesses and their frontages. This project aligns with the city's goal to provide an interim configuration in advance of the long-term vision of Ocean Drive. It also enhances the multimodal mobility along the corridor by introducing the bidirectional bicycle lane. It maintains emergency access and service functionality and creates a more pedestrian and bicycle-friendly, iconic street and less car-centric city. As you may know, we've been working with Miami-Dade County for several years to obtain a permit for the existing one-way southbound configuration on Ocean Drive and the two-way bicycle lane on the east side of the road. Miami-Dade County is requiring the city to comply with the section 334.61 of the Florida statute, which was adopted in summer of last year. This requires the city to conduct a traffic study to identify and address any potential adverse impacts of the project. The city has completed the traffic study and it has been submitted to Miami-Dade County for review. Now, should the city decide to proceed with the project, which is the case in this case, as we received direction from our city commission to proceed with the one-way southbound configuration, then the city must notify all affected property owners at least 180 days before the design phase is completed. And to comply with this requirement, on March 7th of 2025, the city mailed public notices to quarter-mile radius of the project site. This included over 5,500 residents with links to the traffic study. And just to add, the end of those 180 days is September 3rd of 2025. Additionally, the Florida statute requires that the city conduct a public meeting, like the one we're having today, with at least 30 days prior notice before the design phase is completed to receive public input. And to this end, on June 17th, 2025, The city mailed a public notice again to a quarter-mile radius of the project site, included the same 5,500 residents. And to increase community participation, we implemented a comprehensive outreach strategy that included mailing a letter and postcard to all addresses within a quarter-mile radius. We also placed notices in the Miami Herald and the Miami-Dade County Portal Notice Portal. And we additionally share information through email, through social media, and other digital channels to ensure broad awareness and engagement.
Thank you, O'Neill. And I just want to jump in because I completely missed this. I saw a message on the Q&A. We do have our state representative, Fabian Basabe. Thank you again for taking the time to join us this evening.
Thank
O'Neill?
you. Yes. This picture depicts the original configuration of Ocean Drive from 5th Street to 15th Street as it existed prior to the pandemic. And as you can see in the picture, this was a two-way roadway with on-street parking on both sides of the street. It did not have a dedicated bicycle lane, and pedestrians and bicyclists would share the sidewalk. As you may recall, Ocean Drive was closed to vehicular traffic from 2020 to early 2022 because of the pandemic to promote social distancing. And at the October 27, 2021 City Commission meeting, the mayor and City Commission directed the city administration to reopen Ocean Drive to vehicular traffic. And this entailed reopening Ocean Drive with a one-way southbound lane with a two-way bicycle lane on the east side of the road. And this is the current configuration that you see in Ocean Drive today. The decision to reopen Ocean Drive as a one-way southbound configuration was from the study that the city conducted in late 2019 that looked into the feasibility of reconfiguring Ocean Drive from the two-way roadway to a one-way southbound. And the feasibility study recommended this alternative. By having a one-way southbound and two-way bicycle lanes on the east side of the road, it minimizes bicycle and vehicle conflicts, as well as better traffic flow, as you no longer have eastbound left-turn movements from the side streets onto Ocean Drive. Now, I'm going to turn it over to the Calvin Giordano and Associates team, Jenna Martinetti, to continue the presentation.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So just a summary here, just to note, this is just going to summarize the information that's in the traffic impact evaluation, the study that was advertised, and notices that O'Neill just represented. This is just a summary of that same information here in the presentation. So as you can see here, this is the study area. It involves Ocean Drive intersections and then a few adjacent surrounding intersections where data was collected. Go to the next slide. The actual intersections are listed here. We have the intersections on Ocean Drive listed here. This is a comparison of the noon peak hour, comparing the two-way configuration from 2019 to the one-way southbound reconfiguration. It is noted that the TWSC, that's two-way stop control, that a level of service is not assigned to that. So the only thing for comparison is the delay. The signalized intersections are assigned a level of service and a delay. The delay is in seconds. You can see here that there is no adverse, no negative impacts here. And you can go to the next slide. And then these are the 4 intersections that were analyzed outside of the direct Ocean Drive area. Again, same type of information, level of service and delay with no negative impacts. Next slide. This one is for the PM peak hour. Same Ocean Drive intersections, same level of service, delay in seconds. Again, comparing the two-way to the new reconfigured one-way southbound. Next. Here again, not to sound repetitive, but here's our PM peak hour. These are the intersections outside of the Ocean Drive area, comparing the level of service. There were no decreases in level of service at the intersections. Again, important to note that it did get better in most cases, or maintain the same level of service, which is very interesting. Next. In summary, basically, there were no negative impacts to the vehicular flow on Ocean Drive or the surrounding intersections. The level of service, interestingly enough, actually did increase on the side streets. This is likely due to the southbound one-way configuration. Also, something that's important to understand is the one-way southbound configuration actually decreases the number of vehicle conflicts as well, because you do not have the left turn movements crossing for the northbound traffic. So that's a positive change for this configuration. In addition, the dedicated bike lanes provide enhanced and improved safety and mobility for both the bicyclists and the pedestrians. So overall, as you probably saw in the traffic study and may see in real life, there is no negative impact of the lane repurposing, the reconfiguration to one-way southbound as compared to the two-way traffic. So that's all we have, summary, and we'll open it up to questions.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and ask everybody to go ahead and take the time to raise their hand. Again, I do want to recognize our elected officials on the call today. I want to thank Mayor Stephen Miner, his Deputy Chief of Staff, Mr. Blake Govan, as well as our State Representative, Fabian Basabe. Just take a quick look to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. I'm going to go ahead and to those who have raised their hand. We do have Mr. Lorenzo. We're going to ask, go ahead and unmute you. If you could just state your full name and address. As you're getting ready to speak, I'm just going to ask everybody to please keep your comments within 2 minutes. You'll see a timer appear on the screen just shortly. So that way we can make sure. Lorenzo?
Yeah, hi. It's Lorenzo Borghese. I'm the owner of South Beach Brewing. We're located right off Collins, and I do speak a lot with the business owners on Ocean Drive, and we are impacted on what happens on Ocean Drive. And unfortunately, I only got the study document today, about 4 hours before this call, so I haven't been able to review it. I wish I'd gotten it earlier. But besides that, I see that you have you've done studies on traffic studies. What I'm interested in is, have you done how what is proposed impacts businesses and foot traffic? My concern is that bicyclists are bicyclists. They're out there obviously getting exercise. They're not customers. So the businesses don't really care about bicyclists. They care about business and staying open. So I'm wondering, where is the business study, how this is impacting businesses in South Beach, specifically Ocean Drive?
Is that a question for us?
Kevin, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted there, but I just want to thank you, Lorenzo, for that question. I'm going to turn it over to our traffic team, to O'Neill, Jose, and Jenna, if you could maybe chime in. I do want to recognize that we did have the traffic study is available. You could download the entire study at miamibeachfl.gov/Ocean Drive traffic study. There you're going to see it's an 800-page report. If you please pay attention, the first 35 or so pages really has most of the material that you're probably looking for. So for those of you on the call, you can go ahead and review it there. I think I'll turn it over to Jose. I see you unmuted.
Thank you, Kevin. So thank you for the question. It is a very valid question. What I will say is that the process that we're following is a process that is both prescribed by Florida statute and by Miami-Dade County Department of Transportation and Public Works. What is required as part of the process and the regulatory agency, which is the county, what they've required is a traffic engineering analysis, not an economic analysis, which is more along the lines of what you are referring to. That would be a completely different type of analysis that is not prescribed in either by Florida statute or not something that the county is requiring us to do for permitting purposes. So this study, as you saw, focuses on purely traffic engineering and not any other aspect at this time.
Thank you thank you so much, Jose. I'm going to go to Susanna and Henry Stoller. If you could go ahead and unmute there.
Hello, this is Henry Stoller, 1500 Ocean Drive. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I object jurisdictionally to the conduct of this hearing. There is complete non-compliance with section 334.61 of the Florida statutes, which required a variety of things. The study does not address any potential adverse impacts of the lane repurposing project. The study does not reflect the sending of notice, and there is no evidence at all that the notices at 180 days or 30 days were sent. Having this Rube Goldberg, Jerry built kind of a meeting with nobody present in the chamber where a screen could be used for the purpose of enlarging the tiny numbers on these charts is contrary to laws, policies, practices, and procedures and philosophies of both the city and the state relative to transparency, relative to openness, relative to access by citizens. So I object to the meeting, and I think it is jurisdictionally deficient. Having made that objection for the record and without waiving that objection, here is my comment. I think the preservation of the bike lanes on Ocean Drive is extremely ill-advised. This is very precious real estate, and we have 400 feet to the east, a bicycle path, a beach walk, which runs for a full 8 miles. No one is getting off that beach walk for the purpose of doing this 0.8 of a mile stretch on Ocean Drive. And the result is that we certainly have some number of dangerous hooligans, and the injuries that they have caused so far are clear. I would suggest a consideration of moving the westbound side of the park over the space now dedicated to the bike lanes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stoller. Appreciate your comments. I'm now going to go to, before we were asking everybody to go ahead and input their comments by raising your hand and speaking out. There was a moment in the chat where somebody wrote in, I just want to read this for Jenna, O'Neill, and the team. Who decided to make it one-way southbound? The city was ordered to open Ocean Drive 2 ways. So maybe Jose or O'Neill, if you could comment on that. That's from Ines.
Hi, Kevin. That was a city commission direction at the October 27, 2021 city commission meeting to reopen Ocean Drive when it was closed as a result of the pandemic, when all of it was closed as a result of the pandemic. And now we're in the process of obtaining, we have received conditional approval for that existing configuration. Now we're working towards a permanent approval of the one-way southbound with the bicycle lane on the east side of the road.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Ines, for typing that in. Again, if you have any questions, please raise your hand via Zoom, and we'll go ahead and give you 2 minutes like we are with everybody. We'll go to State Representative Fabian Basabe.
Good evening, everyone. I guess thanks for having the meeting. I just wanted to let you all know before joining the call, I did speak with our FDOT secretary, who just reconfirmed with me, we've only received a preliminary study. We have also immediately expressed concerns on the impacts on our state roads. You guys plan to leverage our alleyways, which are not capable of holding the new traffic patterns created. In the past, we've also brought up concerns on the impact to urban planning. I've also noted that there's never been, and you just confirm, I mean, this is a traffic study that you've all been enlisted to do versus an economic analysis and probably some of these other things I've mentioned. But it's amazing that after all these years, finally, there is one study done. Unfortunately, there's no real effort that's been put forward to address the public safety without destroying our businesses. My main concern is the quality of life of our residents, protecting our tourism, protecting our small businesses who have really been under attack for a while. So I look forward to learning a lot more. I'm always an open door to understand what's really trying to, what we're really trying to accomplish here, but it's been taking a while. So I guess I'll listen further.
Thank you so much, Representative Basabe. Again, apologies for missing you in the beginning. I'm going to go to Mr. Andres Acion. Andres, we're going to load up the timer here. We have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. It's hard for me. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thank you. It's hard for me to understand that the traffic study has not been done. Also having the one-way, if you're going to have a one-way, heading northbound instead of southbound. If somebody's going to come to Ocean Drive, they're primarily going to come down 395. And when they come down 395 and they come down Fifth Street and they get to the section where they're going to go to Ocean Drive, they're going to realize that they cannot make a left onto Ocean Drive and they either have to make a right onto South of Fifth Street or make a U-turn. And then they have to decide whether they're going to go to Collins or to Washington. And then they have to drive northbound and decide when they're going to make the right to get to Ocean Drive. Do I make it on 8th? Do I make it on 10th? Do I make it on 13th? And then they make the right. They might get on Ocean Drive and then start driving down the street. And they're like, oh my God, you know what? I didn't get the whole entire Ocean Drive. Let me loop around one more time to then try to get to the whole entire Ocean Drive and drive through it again. To me, it makes no sense when you could have Fifth Street be the main artery, make a left onto Ocean Drive, and drive one way on the same exact way that it's paved right now, heading northbound. And if you're going to park, you could just lean over to the left-hand side and park on the driver's side, just like many one-way streets in downtown Miami and in many streets that are one-way throughout. And you solve the problem. And you also allow more cars to flow freely onto Ocean Drive and be able to drive the whole entire Ocean Drive if they want to, or even make 13th Street a two-lane artery out to Washington to then loop out. But making this a one-way, in my opinion, heading southbound just creates more traffic by people having to loop more to get to possibly seeing the whole entire Ocean Drive instead of having it be an easy flow onto Ocean Drive. That is my comment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aciano. We appreciate that. And I'm going to go to our next caller. And again,
I just wanted to reiterate something. This is an interim condition to the long-term plan, the long-term vision for Ocean Drive. Again, the decision to go one-way southbound was based on a feasibility study that was conducted by the city by the end of 2019, and then also by the direction received from the City Commission to proceed to reopen Ocean Drive with the one-way southbound configuration based on the findings of that study.
great. Thank you, O'Neill. Again, we're going to go to our next caller. We have Mr. Ken Koppel. Ken, and again, if we could have everybody with their hands up so that way we know just about how many people are on the call that haven't spoken. Ken?
Thank you, Kevin. I'm speaking for the residents group So Be Safe, and we believe that this configuration is an excellent interim solution, and we fully support it, and we applaud the city's efforts. We've read the study, which has been available for a while, and more important, we've observed how the street has been working, and it does work. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Koppel. I appreciate your comments and taking time to participate today. I'm going to go to call-in user 1. If you could state your full name and address for us. It's going to give you an option to unmute there. It looks like you're on a phone. Hi there.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Goltanoff, and I'm actually calling you live from Ocean Drive at 11th Street. And I have a question and a comment. The question is, I went through the traffic study and I didn't see any data collected on the usage of and how many people are riding their bicycle along Ocean Drive. Did the study collect this data? And if it didn't, why did it not? And is there any way to collect this data so that we can see how well it is performing? I'll just say right now, it's 6:30 p.m. and the street is lively. There's people walking, there's people biking, there's people stopping. at the restaurants and businesses on Ocean Drive. There's people driving as well, and it seems to work pretty well. Also, one more thing to point out is that many people, including customers, including employees of these businesses, including residents, are using micromobility devices, which are not permitted on the beach walk due to city code. And so it's an extremely important way for people to get around in the city. And then finally, there are some economic studies from around the United States and around the world that show increased economic activity and positive economic benefits to adding bicycle lanes, and especially protected bicycle lanes in urban areas. So I think there is a lot of supporting data on this, and I hope that the city and other stakeholders can share this. Back to the question though, can you share light on the usage of the bicycle lane? It's been over 3 years since it's been implemented, so I hope there's some valuable data there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goltanoff. I'm going to turn to our transportation team. I think it's important to note this study, as O'Neill mentioned, is going back to the permitting of 2021 and adding that bike lane. So while it may not have the data per se that it's been in effect, just want to go ahead and note that. But I'm going to turn it over to O'Neill and Jenna, if you could just help out with some of that data that's requested.
Thank you, Kevin. So going back to what Jose mentioned earlier today, this was a traffic study that was required by the county. The county did not require us to collect bicycle data. It's strictly as to what the impact it is by removing a vehicular travel lane. That's really what the essence of the traffic study that we're showing to the county and everybody involved. With respect to data on the bicycle lane, we do have a separate, call it a program, where we're installing bicycle counters throughout different locations throughout the city. One of those locations it is Ocean Drive, and we anticipate installing those bicycle counters by early next month.
Great, thank you so much, O'Neill. I'm going to go to our next person with their hand up. I have David. David, if you could just state your full name and address for us.
Yeah, David Wallach, 900 Ocean Drive. I'd like to state, first of all, that I understand and support everything that Mr. Henry Stoller said, that this is not being handled properly according to Florida law. There was one thing that he said that was, I think, an error, and that was that there was almost someone recorded how many injuries have happened on Ocean Drive from the bicycles and the electric scooters ramming into people and pedestrians that are openly invited to also walk in the street. The city has created an incredibly dangerous condition. And I do not think that those statistics have been collected. I just picked up a guy and sent him to the hospital the other day. I picked up 2 women in the street, and it's outrageous that the dangerous condition of putting this bicycle lane out in the street to create people going to the hospital regularly has not been acknowledged whatsoever as a safety hazard. Yet we say there are no negative impacts. How many people have to go to the hospital before we deem it a negative impact? In terms of business, we could care less about our businesses. That's been made very clear. It was not the city that opened up the north to south lane. Let's recall that it was Judge Buchko in the Clevelander case that ordered Ocean Drive to be open, and then the city opened up the north end of Ocean Drive. Has anyone done a comparison of the resort taxes from 2018 and 2019 before the COVID closure compared to the resort taxes that we're collecting today? Because I believe that the businesses have been damaged severely by every road closure that this city has undertaken.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wallach. I appreciate you just keeping that within 2 minutes. Going to go ahead and turn to our transportation team. I know this was a similar question that was asked earlier in respect to the purpose of the traffic study itself versus an economic study. Have O'Neill, if you want to comment on that.
Again, this was an operational traffic study on the impacts of removing a travel lane for purposes of repurposing it for a bicycle lane. It was not a safety study. It was an operational traffic study.
Thank you, Neil. We're going to look at Audrey. If you could say your full name and address. Audrey?
Hello. Oh,
Hi
hello.
there.
Um, Audrey Cabay from Miami-Dade County. I'm the bicycle pedestrian planner at the county for the moment. Thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask, like other residents have asked, whether there was a safety analysis conducted as part of the traffic study, in terms of as part of the before and after. And I'm very curious to see the final report when it comes out. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Audrey. Appreciate you having you on the call today. I'm going to turn over to Neil and Jose. I think we're working with the team going forward.
Well, the traffic study has been submitted to Miami-Dade County for review. Is currently under review. We anticipate receiving comments back on this iteration. We submitted already multiple times addressing some of the comments that we have received, and we anticipate receiving comments, if not a final approval, by late this month, early next month.
Great. I'm going to go next to screen name is Susanna. Susanna, if you could say your full name and address for us. You're muted there, but there you go. You're unmuted. Hi, Susanna, can you hear us? We cannot hear you. It was working earlier. We will come right back to you. I'm going to go to screen name is Jane Krupp. Jane, if you could say your full name and address for us. Hey, Jane.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Jane Krupp, 1390 Ocean Drive, which is on 14th Street and Ocean Drive. So a couple of things. One, I agree 100% that the one-way street should go north and people can just make a loop around instead of all the confusion that the southbound now causes. Couple of questions. One, how long is this permit for? Does it have to get renewed? And I'd just like to make a comment that on May 22nd at the commission meeting, which was where this study was discussed, and we were told it would be coming in July, which I guess this is what we're doing now, is reviewing this study. Agenda item R9W was the discussion, and David Suarez started the discussion by asking, what is your long-term vision for Ocean Drive to each one of the elected officials? And they all agreed that the long-term vision was to have full pedestrianization above Fifth Street. So if that's the long-term vision, and this is a temporary solution, why was the Promenade, which was the very, very successful pilot program, dismantled, and why is it not included in this permit and restored? And why has there not even been a discussion about it, about restoring the Promenade? If we're going to ask for a permit, let's put in this pilot program back, which was hugely successful. And if the restaurants are complaining that, pedestrianization is hurting their business, well, we all know cars don't buy anything. And if the restaurants and businesses would like to open their books for auditing to prove how they're losing money, I welcome the study. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shane. I'm going to turn it over to our transportation team and O'Neill. Again, it's important to note that today's meeting is really in respect to the permit from 2021. So in respect to the promenade, the request for the promenade, that is not associated with tonight. So there's not much details that the team could provide related to the promenade itself. Again, this is all going back to the 2021 request to have the southbound configuration with the bike lane that was included. So that was kind of the transportation consultant's scope of work. But O'Neill, if there's anything you could go ahead and add there.
No, the only thing that I would add to that, Kevin, is, as you said, it's two separate topics. However, the county in various notices and letters to the city has shared the operational concerns that they had with the promenade, and that they would not permit a promenade, which is why the city had to reopen and remove the promenade.
Thank you so much. Ines, I see your hand has gone up and down, so I just want to check if you have any questions or if we answered your questions. Ines, it's going to ask you to unmute there. If you could just say your full name and address for us. I think this is Ines
Okay,
Flax, maybe?
this is
There you are.
Ines Flax. Yes, you hear me now? Yeah, I'm at
Yes, ma'am.
1500 Ocean. Yeah, I'm at 1500 Ocean Drive, and I want to say that I lived at that location, and I'm a full-time resident for the past 26 years. I can tell you that those two back lanes are empty 96% of the time, and it's a waste of our resources. And no one is coming to Ocean Drive. The businesses are dying. Some of my friends who had restaurant there, closed both restaurants because they were going bankrupt. And this has converted all of this experimenting with Ocean Drive has made a street, which was the economic engine of the entire region, into like a dead street. It's always so empty, and it's so sad to see it empty, because when I moved here, again, it was so vibrant and it was the economic engine to the entire region. And people don't come to Ocean Drive because, yeah, the southbound configuration drives everyone crazy. I have friends that had turned around and they turn everywhere and they're trying to come to my place and they can't come to my place because it's only one way south. The two-way street is a superior solution to anything because it gives accessibility to all of the owners on Ocean Drive. When it's two ways, you have easier accessibility to all of the businesses, all of the residents there, which was the way it's been since Ocean Drive became Ocean Drive from day one. It's been a two-way street. And from 5th to South Point Drive, it's a two-way street, Ocean Drive. And this whole experiment with Ocean Drive is just being a disaster. And you need to make a study and to look at all of the feasibility of what is going on and how this has, deteriorated and hurt all the businesses there, because people don't come there because there's no parking. There's no parking. You're not going to go to Aventura Mall if there's no parking in Aventura Mall. And since you put those two bike lanes, there's no parking and they're not being used. So it's a really, really waste of our assets, and it would be negligent for the city to continue on that path.
Thank you, Ines. We gave you a few extra seconds there. We appreciate you taking the time to share your comments with us. I'm going to go back to Susanna from earlier. We couldn't hear you. I'm going to see if we could hear you again. It's going to send you a request to unmute there.
Okay.
There we go. Susanna?
We should be unmuted.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Okay.
good. Thank you.
So I know.
This is Henry Stoller, 1500 Ocean Drive. I earlier expressed an objection based on jurisdictional grounds. That has now been confirmed. Mr. Otniel Rodriguez, Assistant Director of Transportation, said that it is only an operational study. That's completely contrary to the statute, and this is why so many people this evening have complained about the absence of safety study, the absence of the impact economically on the businesses, the effect of the bicycle lanes, and so on. The statute is very clear as to what the study says. The traffic study shall address any potential adverse impacts of the project. Any means any. Address any potential adverse impacts of the project. The study does not do that, and therefore the study is non-compliant with section 334.61, subsection 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Henry, or Susanna. I did give you an extra minute there since you spoke earlier. With that, I'm going to go to Andres Sacion. Again, Andres will give you an extra minute. After Andres, that's our final caller for tonight. Usually when I say that, I get a few more hands up. So please check if your hand's not up. You're not in queue to speak. Gonna go quickly to Andres, and then I think we'll be wrapping up. Andres?
Yeah, I just want to say that I forgot the name, the aide that mentioned, or the staff member that said that the study was not only based on that one way heading southbound. It's very frustrating because, I do think that the solution would be to have a 2-lane, but if it was going to be a 1-lane, common sense tells you that anybody coming to visit Miami Beach and Ocean Drive as a tourist, making them go northbound and having to fish to find the right lane street to turn eastbound to then find Ocean Drive adds a lot more traffic and confusion to a driver versus coming straight from 395, hanging a left on Ocean Drive and driving the whole entire Ocean Drive to be able to get to any business that they want. So it is a very frustrating that a study has not been done having this traffic heading northbound instead of southbound, which confuses people who are not from here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asiona. We appreciate you reiterating that. I know the transportation team had provided some comment on that earlier. Again, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to participate this evening. We really appreciate you all coming out to join us for a traffic study meeting on, what does it say, Thursday night, excuse me. So we appreciate that. Tomorrow, the meeting will be available on our City of Miami Beach YouTube page. So with that, thank you, everybody, and have a great night.